From Illinois Public Media News, this is 217 Today. I'm Kimberly Schofield. It's Friday, August 16th. Coming up, we'll listen to a conversation with author Chris Bodenner about the funk farming family of Central Illinois. That story in just a few minutes, but first, these headlines. The site of the 1908 race riots in Springfield will now be a national monument. Mawa Iqbal has more.
116 years ago this week, a violent mob of white residents murdered at least 6 black people and attacked hundreds of black residents. The mob also burned down black homes and businesses. Local activist Teresa Haley says she was thrilled when archaeologists dug up the foundations of 5 homes destroyed in the riots.
It's American history. Black people lost their lives. My mother's from the South. As soon as people migrated to places like Springfield for better opportunities after the 1908 race riots, they left Springfield.
In a statement, U.S. Senator Tammy Duckworth says she's been working on this designation for years and hopes the monument will serve as a learning opportunity. I'm Mawa Iqbal.
The grassy lawn at the state fairgrounds in Springfield yesterday was dotted with people wearing red hats and T-shirts and cardboard cutouts of former President Donald Trump. It was Republican Day at the Illinois State Fair. Huddling under tents for cover from rain, elected officials and volunteers talked about ways to energize conservative voters in a Democratic stronghold like Illinois. Chair of the state GOP, Kathy Salvi, says the key is party unity.
If we can look at what joins us, not what divides us, there's no stopping us. Because Republican unity on this mission for all candidates on the ballot puts us on the right track, and Republican unity will win in 2024.
Salvi says she hopes excitement around Trump can help down-ballot Republicans win across Illinois. An Emerson College poll released yesterday shows Vice President Kamala Harris surging in popularity. Many Illinois students have their first day of school this week, but many schools are still scrambling to hire teachers before the kids get into the classroom. Peter Medlin reports.
Thursday was the first day of school for students in Amboy. Joshua Nichols is the superintendent. He says it's scary when you're about to start school, but you don't have all your teaching positions filled yet.
Calling universities to see if somebody graduating at December so they can start the second semester. Can I get a long-term sub? Who can I get to cover that class for the next semester?
Luckily, this year they found a long-term substitute to cover a special education vacancy, but there are still thousands of open teaching positions in Illinois, according to the Board of Education, and 1/3 of them are special education roles. In Amboy, Nichols says they no longer get stacks of applications for each position. Now, they're lucky to get a few, and often they don't get any, so they have to send their principals to job fairs, call around to colleges, or ask other schools who were hiring if they had a strong number 2 or number 3 choice who could be a good fit. I'm Peter Medlin.
The Fighting Illini women's soccer team opens up the season this week with a 5-match homestand. Illinois already won both exhibition games against Eastern Illinois and IU Indy, averaging 8 goals per game. Head coach Janie Rayfield is entering her 23rd season with the Illini after finishing with 6 wins, 8 losses, and 3 ties last year. The Illini will be tested this year as they face 6 opponents who are ranked in the United Soccer Coaches preseason top 25. Still to come, we'll listen to a conversation with author Chris Bodenner about the funk farming family of Central Illinois. That story is coming up next on 217 Today.
Next time on the 21st show, our reporter roundtables. We'll hear about the big rallies Democrats and Republicans held at the Illinois State Fair and talk with a reporter who focuses on LGBT communities in Illinois. Plus, we'll preview an event that asks what it means to read freely. I'm Brian Mackey. That's next time on the 21st show. Join us.
You're listening to 217 Today. I'm Kimberly Schofield. The Funk family recently celebrated 200 years of farming in McLean County. Along the way, members of the family befriended Abraham Lincoln and helped bring hybrid corn to America. That and more is recorded in Pioneers Built from the Soil Up, a history of the Funk family published this summer by the family itself. The author is Chris Bodenner, a former editor at The Atlantic. He told Jim Meadows about Isaac Funk, who, with his brother Absalom, launched the family farm.
He's a remarkable figure, how he was able to come into Central Illinois, with no inheritance, no family name of recognition. He was able to, from the soil up, build arguably the largest, most valuable estate and farming empire in Illinois and the Midwest in general.
How did the Funk brothers manage to prosper at a time when certainly a lot of farms struggled, especially during the financial panics or depressions that happened periodically during the 19th century?
Isaac had 10 children with his wife in Illinois. Their children had lots of children themselves, which leads to the founding of the Funk Brothers Seed Company in the early 20th century. Isaac Funk, although he had very little education, was very savvy, built a cattle trading network from scratch in Central Illinois. He, is arguably the most successful early cowboy.
He was also active politically. Is that an important part of Isaac Funk's legacy?
Yeah, very much so. Isaac Funk served in the Illinois General Assembly in the lower house with Abraham Lincoln in the early 1840s as part of the Whig Party. During that term, became very close and lifelong friends with Lincoln. And Isaac went on to become one of his biggest and most influential advocates within Illinois. During the Civil War, Isaac was called back into public service when one of the Illinois senators went off to serve on the battlefield. Isaac was 63 years old at the time and became a fierce advocate for Republicans. It sort of culminates in this very dramatic speech he gave in 1863 called the Copperhead Speech. Very briefly, Copperheads were Democrats who wanted to end the war against the Confederates without the Confederates surrendering. Copperheads were seen as traitorous and undermining Lincoln's cause. Isaac sort of stood up during this dispute over funding Lincoln and Union soldiers. He stood up sort of spontaneously and gave this very rousing speech against the Copperheads that was splashed across newspapers around the country.
I'm really jumping ahead here, but you did mention the Funk Brothers Seed Company in the 20th century and the advances that the Funk family made in hybrid corn at that time. How did that come about?
Well, about a decade before hybrid corn was first developed scientifically was the founding of the seed company just at the turn of the century. The Funk Brothers Seed Company became arguably the most influential seed company in the world. E.D. Funk, he was the president of the company, of the family affair. He was a grandson of Isaac. The process of hybrid corn is a very long, complicated process. But E.D. Funk and his right-hand man, Jim Holbert, who was the more scientifically trained, they were right at the center of that small group of men. And I think E.D. Funk stands out as the most influential promoter of hybrid corn to very skeptical farmers. You couldn't use its seeds to grow the next generation, but they had a remarkable ability to combine the best traits of different strains of corn into one that created yields that the world had never seen before, and on less land as well.
That's Chris Bodenner talking about the Funk farming family of Central Illinois. The Funk family sold its seed corn operation in the 1960s, but family members continue to farm in McLean County, producing corn, soybeans, beef, and maple syrup. Bodenner's book about the Funk family is titled Pioneers Built from the Soil Up: How the Funk Family Shaped American History. It's available on Amazon.com. And finally, in your forecast, meteorologist Andrew Pritchard says today will be partly cloudy with a slight chance of a shower or thunderstorm and a high of 86 degrees. That's it for today. 217 Today is produced by Stephanie Mosqueda. Reporting today contributed by Mawa Iqbal, Peter Medlin, Colin Highslope, and Jim Meadows. Music by the Kilbourne Alley Blues Band. Reginald Hardwick is our news director. I'm Kimberly Schofield. 217 Today is a production of Illinois Public Media. Thanks for listening, stay safe, and we'll talk to you again on Monday. Have a great weekend.